Welcome to Hot to Trot. This is not your normal horse racing podcast. My name's Ashley Eisenbiel.
And I'm Dawnelle Locke, and we're your hosts for Hot to Trot. Ashley, you look really fashionable today. What are you wearing there?
I am wearing one of our new Comfort Colors t-shirts that we just got in. So, we ordered some t-shirts for the summertime so we wouldn't have long sleeves and hoodies, but we did just get a new order of hoodies in because our hoodies were selling out. Everybody wanted the hoodies. So I got more in stock. So if you were waiting on a hoodie, please message us. We got more in. And now we got these nice new super soft, super cozy t-shirts. And we'll be putting them up here on our social media, and you can just DM us. We're also going to start a Square store that will have a link on our website on the Hot to Trot page, so you can just go there and place your order. But we'll also be selling them at the racetrack. So if you want your new Hot to Trot gear for the summertime, give us a DM, because I love playing on my cricket. My basement is a mess, by the way. My husband wants to murder me, but I'm having fun.
I know. I love them. I can't wait to wear mine. I just love that purple, first of all. It's so pretty. And I mean, obviously, who doesn't want to represent Hot to Trot? And third, I'm so impressed with you and your cricket skills, because I got a cricket and I don't enjoy it. I didn't like it. I'm going to resell it.
No.
So I'm glad you're the one making the shirts.
No, we'll have a cricket date and we'll make shirts together. But what we're testing out with these new t-shirts is I came up with some little cute slogans. So this one on the back, you can read it. What does it say?
Oh, not just pretty paces. That's so cute with our logo. I love that.
And then we have another one. It says, be a unicorn in a field of racehorses.
I love it. They're so cute.
Or we can just have plain, Hot to Trot logo on there. Up to you. Yeah. You can tell us what you want.
Yeah, see, we'll customize them for you. Just DM us what you're looking for and we'll make it happen.
That's what I plan on doing. I'm going to cut them all out and get them all ready. And then when people say, oh, I want a purple unicorn t-shirt, I can just make you a purple unicorn t-shirt.
That's what I want. Our horse is my favorite. I love our logo because it has little lashes, and I live for that little logo.
You know you were the inspiration for that.
You're all welcome. Welcome back to another episode of Hot to Trot, and we have been busy traveling so far. So Hot to Trot is kind of on the road now. We had some field trips this past month, and they were so fun. We love to show students the job. So first we went to Pocono and then to Penn National. So we've been pretty busy, Ashley.
I know. I had a lot of fun at Pocono with you. I'm glad we got that in and you came out. I know it's a long drive for you. How long does it take you to get to Pocono?
4 hours and 40 minutes. I'm a fast driver, but I'm just kidding. I drive the speed limit. But yeah, it's all highway, so it's not bad. You just cruise along.
What do you do on those long drives?
You got to listen to podcasts. I can re-listen to all the Hot to Trots and hear my own voice, so that's fun. No, I listen to a lot of podcasts. So I used to be such a music girly, and as I get older, I just like listening to podcasts. I don't know why.
I think it's my attention span. I want to switch the song. 30 seconds in. I'm okay, I'm over that. What's the next song? I don't know. It's weird. But no, I love that you came out, and we were doing a lot of TikToks after we did our field trip because we were trying to squeeze in as much as we could since we were together. And I thought that was a lot of fun. Got a lot of weird side eyes from some guys on the apron.
I love it. TikToks are fun. So if you're not following us, you don't know what we're talking about, but go to Hot to Trot Podcast on TikTok and follow us. We have a good time. You know what? We take a lot of takes. They don't always work. Jalen gets a good laugh at us, but we have fun, and we're trying to promote the sport in different ways. And social media is a great way to reach people. So,
hey, just trying to get the awareness that there are racetracks out there to anyone. So, yeah, I loved having the students out. We had a pretty large group, larger from last year. We had the Delaware Valley equine majors come out for a field trip, and we did this last year. But this year, like I said, it grew pretty substantially from last year, and I think it was pretty successful. It's so interesting to show them like all the different jobs in the racing industry that they're not aware of at all, and they're going to be looking for jobs coming up here in the next 2 to 3 years. So they should really be looking at our industry. We employ a lot of people.
Yeah, I think they saw a taste of that. So, we take them all over. They get to talk to the paddock judge, the judges, the race secretary, the racing director, the outrider. And, we had a couple people ask us about internships and jobs that are in the industry because it ranges from seniors to sophomores. So it's a little bit of everyone, some of them graduating. But the one girl, I remember her asking a question. She was like, I didn't realize there was all these jobs that go into this as we were talking to the judges. And I was like, yeah, it's not just a couple people. This is a huge industry that employs so many people that you don't realize because they're behind the scenes, but they're so important. Every job is important. The starting gate driver, the paddock judge, the judges, all that plays a huge part. You have all the commissioners, so you have track employees, the state employees. It's a lot that goes into racing.
Yeah, every single day. And like just to get it on the screen. Like I think that's also like they just see it happen when they watch it, on a screen. They don't understand that there's people every single day, caring for the horses, also getting everything set up, organizing, planning out the races, planning out, all doing the draw. I know one girl was asking me a lot of questions about the draw. She was really like interested in like, wait a minute. So this happens like days prior. What if a horse like shows up and wants to be in that race? I'm like, it can. So
yeah, that's not how it works.
Yeah, so it's a lot of interesting questions, but like you have to learn somewhere. Not everybody has been brought up in this industry. I didn't know anything about it until I started working in it. So it's great to be able to answer those questions and them to be able to see the opportunities and a future perhaps in our industry that they didn't quite think about before, because we need the next generation of people that are going to be working in our industry and want to work in the industry. So I think it's super important that we do these. And I'm about to do another one here coming up in a couple days at Penn State's going to be coming out to Penn National and also EquiStar Farm to meet Smarty Jones and all the wonderful stallions there that Rodney has. So we're super excited to partner with them. I've been working with Penn State main campus now for like 5 years. I started out working with their 4-H program, and then it kind of moved into actually working with their equine main campus program. So super excited to have them out. I have a lot of great speakers for them. We have Martina Rojas is our jockey. I was spending a lot of time with her this week too, doing some PR stuff. Wrapping up the Women in History Month. So we've been working on a couple things with that and had a lot of reporters want to come see behind the scenes of a 19-year-old jockey that's born and raised in Grantville, now hitting the track as a 19-year-old bug. So she's great. She's a lot of fun. She wants to do TikToks with us. She's really excited about doing TikToks with us. So maybe we'll get her on Hot to Trot.
Oh, that would be great. I always see her riding, and obviously I saw all the interviews and news stuff that you covered, and it was great. I really like her. I can't wait to actually meet her and do some TikToks.
She's all about the TikToks. She actually has a good following on TikTok, and she's been doing TikToks for a while. So maybe she can teach us how to do some of those dances.
Yeah, we'll take the help. Our dancing's still a work in progress.
It's comedy relief, okay?
Yeah.
We don't take ourselves too seriously in anything that we do.
No, we're here to have fun.
I want to have fun at work every single day because then it doesn't feel like work.
Which, speaking of fun, we have more and more coming. Live racing is going to be starting at Harrah's. So we're going to have another track back live racing. And then we're just waiting for Prescott Downs to be back in May. And then all our event fun starts in May too. So we're traveling out for field trips, and now we're going to be traveling for track events.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the tracks to reopen. And then I don't know if I'm ready to travel as much as we do during the summertime, but I am ready to have more racing out there because I do enjoy that and seeing the horses and seeing who's up and coming. So I'm excited for the big races, but I'm not excited for the driving.
Yeah, the driving's always a bummer, but I'm excited to kick off Maxi Lee Day at Harrah's, and then that starts our busy season. And we have a lot of fun things planned and a lot of fun merchandise and giveaways for the tracks this year. So I'm excited to get back out there and see the fans and talk to everyone, see everyone. And it's always good to see. I'm on the other side of the state, so I like to travel to see the other horsemen that I never get to see. So that's always nice.
Yeah, I'm most excited for some of these new things we're bringing to the tracks this year. So we're going to test out some trivia questions, some pop culture and racing trivia questions that people are going to be able to text in the answers to us. We'll put them up on the jumbotrons at the tracks, and whoever texts in the right answer, first, second, and third, we're going to give a prize bag. So a bunch of goodies, and we're going to do that between races, try to jazz up that time between races. Also going to do little handicapping seminars, for the tracks and the fans when they come in, about, I'd say we're thinking more like between the third and the fifth race, start, talking to people if they need help with betting or if they want to get our picks, we can talk to them about that and doing a little handicapping seminars. That's fun.
Yeah. And they might want to listen to our picks because we've been doing Wager Wednesdays, which we're going to change around a little bit and start handicapping a race card a week at each track and rotating tracks. But Ashley and I's picks have been doing really good. So I think we've lost 2 races so far where we haven't been 1, 2, 3, but we're doing good on Wager Wednesday. So I don't know, you might want our handicapping advice.
Maybe. Don't jinx us. I feel like you just really jinxed us.
Yeah, I just ruined it. We're going to be going on a cold streak, but by the time it's summertime, we're going to be hot again.
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I love the wagering part. I have to circle back to just being on that field trip at Poconos. We gave each of the students, they're all over 18, $5 betting vouchers, and we put them in for them. And the one girl won $23, and you would have thought, she won $1,000. She was so ecstatic. She's like, I just picked it because the name. I'm like, that's all you needed to do.
Yeah,
you just have fun with it. She was so pumped. I loved her. Her reaction when she won was like she literally won a $100,000 lotto ticket.
I know. I think that's my favorite thing about the field trips is when they get so excited about something and they're new to the sport, so they're so passionate and listen, she won $23, but to her, that was a big deal and that was exciting. Her first time betting and you're a winner, and that's all you do. You just pick a name you like. You don't have to be fancy and handicap them. Yeah,
she turned around and she goes, can you help me bet again? I was like, yeah, I can.
Heck yeah, we'll stay here all day.
We got you, girl. Well, I'm super excited for, some more episodes of Hot to Trot that we have coming up. We've been planning some new guests coming on, but I think we go ahead and get to our next guest, the announcer at Harrah's Philadelphia. Super excited to have him on, and we hope you guys enjoy. Mike, thank you so much for joining us here on Hot to Trot. We're so excited to have you. You have been you've been around PHRA for a long time. You actually helped us out doing the lives and hosting those for a couple years and have helped me out from the very beginning. So we're excited to have you here. You're an announcer at Harrah's, and that's an awesome job. But right now, Harrah's is on break. So what have you been up to with this time off?
Oh, not too much. I've been, subbing at other tracks. I've been doing some work at the Meadowlands, doing some work at Yonkers, doing some other side work as well. So, that and having a family, certainly enough to keep me busy over the off time.
Yes, your son, how is he doing?
Oh, he's doing fantastic. Everybody's doing well. It's amazing how fast they grow up. I'll tell you that. It just seemed like the other day he was a little baby, and now now he's 12. So I don't know where Don goes.
Aw.
He loves the track just as much as you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he's going to be a racetracker. I remember when I grew up, I was pretty much the same way. My dad took me to the races, and I would sit there, run around the apron, and try to race the horses down the stretch, and he's getting that very same experience that I did, and it's really cool.
Will we see him be an announcer, you think, one day then?
I don't know. He's. I tried to get him to do a couple of post parades. He's a little shy. I think he's more of a behind the scenes type. But besides, he needs a good paying job. He needs to be an architect or a doctor or something to take care of the old man in his waning years.
Heck yeah.
I agree.
By the time this airs, Harrah's will be open. What can we expect this season from Harrah's, and what do you have planned?
Well, April 12th is our opening day. We're going to start a 3-day-a-week race schedule, which is, it's kind of our spring schedule, Thursday, Friday, and Sundays, post time on Thursday and Friday, 12:25, 12:40 on Sundays. We will have some night cards mixed in as well. Over Memorial Day weekend, of course, is obviously our big stakes day with the 3 big invitationals. And, it's really well positioned in the calendar because a lot of these horses are, starting to come back off layoffs, and we catch them, second, third, fourth start as they prep for some of the really big Grand Circuit races down the road. So it's certainly a very exciting time. Of course, we're going to have Derby Day doings, is every racetrack does. It's good to see a lot of people in the house. Rooting on not only the Kentucky Derby races, but our live racing as well. And listen, it's some of the greatest racing in general overall that the product has. We've got the best drivers, the best trainers, a lot of the best horses that compete over this 5/8 oval on the banks of the Delaware, and it's it's certainly a good time, and I can't wait to get started.
Well, I have to say, Super Sunday has served us some interesting weather over the years, Mike. Like 3 years ago, I think it was like 40 degrees. We were freezing. Literally, Rachel and I were handing out PHHA scarves to people. It was so cold. And then last year, it was like in the 70s and people were getting sunburned. Every year, it's like 2 extremes, always.
Yeah, I already got my first sunburn of the year about 3 weeks ago, believe it or not. So, well, the weather's always tricky this time of year. I mean, you never really know what you're going to get. There's been Marches and Aprils where there's been snow on the ground, and there's been Marches and Aprils where, like you said, it's been, 70, 80 degrees. So weather's always, always touch and go. But, listen, that's why we got a nice indoor facility for everybody to relax and not only bet on races, but bet on races across the nation.
Yeah, last year was perfect weather. It was my first Maxi Lee, and I loved it. That was actually my first time at Harrah's altogether, so it was great, and I can't wait to be back this year.
So, Mike, tell our listeners how you started your journey into the horse racing announcer career.
Well, you have to be pretty lucky. Number one, it's there's not a whole lot of job openings across the country and across the world. There's just there's only so many racetracks, and it's got to be a passion. It's got to be something that you want to do because it's something that you have to chase. And there's really no school that you can go to be a part of something like this. So you have to practice. You have to kind of do your own thing. You have to kind of reach out to other veteran announcers and seek their help, seek their assistance. And then you have to be willing to travel, a lot of miles underneath your boots, for sure. I know a lot of, and I've actually got lucky because I didn't really have to do a lot of the fairs that a lot of the announcers had to do, the young guys to try to gain experience. I got my first full-time job in 2004 at Hazel Park, and before that, it was actually I got into it by doing dog racing, and that's kind of a funny story how I got into that. But it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of rejection. You're gonna be dealing with if you put an application to racetrack, if they announce it opening, you're going to be dealing with probably 15, 20, 25 applicants in a lot of situations. So you just have to keep your head down and keep going and believe in yourself, and eventually you'll get your shot.
How was dog racing compared to harness racing? That had to be different.
Yeah, dog racing is a lot faster. I really didn't have any affiliation to greyhound racing. I moved out of high school. I moved down to I was from the Indiana area, I moved down to Birmingham, Alabama, with a friend of mine, just kind of trying to get a fresh start. And we end up working at the dog track in Birmingham, which is a former thoroughbred track, the Birmingham Racecourse. As a matter of fact, that's where Mr. Larry Colmus got his start announcing back in the late 80s. But it was an old thoroughbred track. They redid it. They put a dog track in. Me and my friend put an application in. We actually started out as lead outs. So in other words, we would lead the dogs to the boxes, put the dogs in the boxes, the starting box before the start of the race. And then, the little, well, they call it a lure, the rabbit or bone or whatever. We had a bone. A lot of dog tracks have rabbits, but that would start the race. We would go down to the other end, and as soon as the dogs were done with the race, we would take the dogs to their trainers, and we would, do that 13, 14 times a day. And I used to always kid with my boss then that if the announcer ever got sick or whatever, I'd love to get up there. And he, kind of thought I was half joking or whatever. So one day that opportunity came. The announcer quit, and my boss came down and says, "You still interested in announcing?" I said, "Yeah, sure am. That'd be great." He goes, "Well, you got 15 minutes because it's 15 minutes to post." He goes, "You got to get up there." So I had no chance to prepare or anything. And, listen, it turned out to be great. It was a good experience, a lot faster because, the dogs, run basically 30 seconds and the race is over. So you've got a very limited window to cram in as much information as you can during a race call. But it was pretty cool. It prepped me well, I think, for horse racing.
You were really like thrown into it. I don't think I could have done that with like no preparation, but that's how you get the job. Like that's how it kind of always happens. Someone says, "Hey, can you do this? I'm in a tight spot." And you either you sink or swim. You swam. Tell us did you get to Harrah's? How did you end up coming to Philly?
Well, I went to Hazel Park. I started there in Michigan in 2004 and did that until 2013. And they ultimately closed. And, Michigan was a wonderful place. Met a lot of great people. There's a lot of great horsemen from Michigan that have, worked their way out east and have had quite a bit of success. And in 2014, I took a job at Cal Expo. I was their announcer for really not too long, maybe 3, 4, 5 months. And then I read on the internet on US Drawing that this job opened up. So I applied for it, and luckily I got it. And that was in 2014. That was my first year. And so now this is 10 years now. And very, very, good move. It was a great opportunity for me to, be able to call some of the best, drivers, trainers, horses. 10 years later, here we are still at the same place. So it was pretty awesome, a pretty big step up, and was very excited about it. And still am. I still get the goosebumps before opening day every year.
Aw. What would you say is your favorite part of the job, and then maybe your least favorite part?
My least favorite part of announcing? When the card's over, when the last race is over. No, you know what? There really isn't any. I mean, if you really love your job and you take it passionately, and it's more than a job to you, it's if you work in a business that you want to see succeed and you're passionate about the industry. That's the good thing about this industry. Everybody that I know, I mean, whether no matter what kind of job they have, more times than not are passionate about this industry and want to see this industry survive. And I think that's what separates our industry from a lot of different industries. But, listen, my favorite part of the day is right when the first race is going off, and my least favorite part of the day is when the last race is going off.
Oh, I love your passion.
How much do you prep before a race?
Not a whole lot. I think that comes with the territory. That comes with familiarity. Now, I did, when I had the sub at Parks for 3 months thereafter, Keith Jones retired. That's a different story. Thoroughbreds, you have to be really, really sharp and on your game. Harness racing, I'm so familiar with harness racing that, I could pretty much pick up a program with 10 seconds and just do it. Thoroughbred racing, you gotta go to the whole coloring the silks and coloring the caps and And because, they, especially, at parks or any big track, they get up in that far turn and they're 3, 4, 5 across the track. It's very, very tough a lot of times to tell them apart. And, so that was certainly an eye-opening experience for me. I was like, man, this is actually work. I actually have to work. But no, really not a whole lot of preparation goes into Harrah's or harness announcing, because you're just so familiar with it that it becomes in my case anyway, it becomes a study wrong situation.
See, since you've done both, don't you think it's easier that the drivers have like their set colors and them compared to thoroughbred racing or going with owner silks? It's always hard. We've had this debate a couple of times because it's just different in each industry, but I'm interested your take since you do announce both.
Yeah. Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier listen, Tim Tetrick's going to be green every race with the exception of a couple of times where he'll wear the owner's colors. And that's actually starting to creep into harness racing a little bit, certainly not on the level as thoroughbreds, but yeah, it's a lot easier to call when Dave Miller's going to be purple and white and Tim Tetrick's going to be green and Corey Callahan's going to be white and green, but you never know what you're going to get with owner's silks. And I will tell you, that is kind of my pet peeve, if you will. I promise I won't spend a whole lot of time on this, but I can't begin to tell you how many times the colors on the silks of a jockey, it'll say in the program, it'll say red with green sleeves, and he'll come out and he's blue with pink sleeves. I had to recolor my program so many times. I said, you know what? I am not going to color until I see them actually on the racetrack for the post parade. Listen, for an announcer, it's a lot easier. Anytime you can have any kind of repetition you can get used to, it's a lot easier. That's one of the things that makes calling thoroughbreds challenging is those colors.
I knew you were going to bring that up, Dawnelle.
I can't help myself. I got to know.
We're going to start talking to people about maybe we can get some things changed. Maybe these jockeys can get their own sets. All right. So what would you say was your favorite memory so far in the racing industry in your career?
I could tell you my highlight easily was calling Foiled Again's 100th win, at Harrah's. And, it was so awesome for me. It was a pleasure for me because, I followed Foiled Again throughout his career. And, this is a horse that never really made the really, really big stakes. This is a horse that, didn't get good until he was 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. The typical blue collar horse, so the horse that really had to work for every dime nickel he made, and he was so great. He was so durable, and I think it makes it more special because a lot of times in thoroughbred and harness racing, you see these horses retire at 3 or 4, and because it's obviously a lot more lucrative in the stud life in this day and age in both harness and thoroughbred. But to see a horse like Foiled Again race all the way till 13, 14 years old at such a high level, for many years, that's really a testament to his training and him as an athlete. It was just very, very special to see.
Oh, I love Foiled Again. I have his Briar and everything, but I think Ronnie and the Weaver and Bershemi, like they did such a good job taking him to all the tracks. He's going back to Shenandoah for his 20th birthday this year too. So I think that's cool. He was a fan favorite and they did a lot with him to help the sport. I think I loved him.
Yes, he did. And he had a following, and people loved to follow him. And, and I think that Foiled Again really, because if you go back into some years ago, it was pretty cut and dry. Thoroughbreds used to race during the day and harness used to race at night. And thoroughbred was always the sport of kings. And harness racing was always what I like to call the working man sport, the blue collar sport, kind of the long lost, sister of thoroughbred racing. And that's why Foiled Again was so special, because I think he encapsulated what harness racing was was all about, that blue collar mentality that, listen, every day you got to, shine your boots and get after it. And that's exactly what he did. And I think that's what made him special and different than a lot of the stars in racing that we see today.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you weren't announcing, what job in the industry would you want to have? Would you want to be a driver, groom, trainer?
Well, I mean, I think
Podcast host?
I've been there, done that. You know what? Listen, we're all closet drivers. I was, when I was growing up, I was always the kid with the rolled up program on the fence, trying to urge my horse along, and listen, in the drivers, it's the horses that make it go, and hats off to the owners and everybody that puts so much time and effort and money into this business. But our most marketable section of our sport is drivers. I mean, listen, they, in my opinion, a lot of times, and I'm going to get a lot of messages from trainers saying, what are you doing? They're the stars of the sport, in my opinion. I mean, the drivers are the stars of the sport. I mean, people come out to see drivers. People wager on certain drivers. Listen, and if you're hearing people root for horses that are coming down the stretch, I mean, how many times do you hear people say, come on, teacher, come on, Jingra? They are, in my opinion, the most recognizable figures that we have. I think that, they really are, in my opinion, a lot of times the stars of the show. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'd love to be a driver. Absolutely.
So I know at some harness racing tracks, the announcer does set the morning line odds. Do you do that for Harrah's?
No, our morning line is done through a TrackMaster, which a lot of the racetracks, harness racing tracks have adopted. But I have certainly done my share of morning lines, and that is pretty much the most thankless job in all of racing, because you can get 1,000 morning lines right consecutively, but the one that you get wrong, the one that you have down at 5-2 and he ends up going off at 10 to 15 to 1, or vice versa. If you got 1 10, 12, 15 to 1 in the morning line and he goes off, 2 to 1, 5 to 2, 9 to 5, then it makes you look bad. But listen, that's one of the most thankless jobs. Anybody out there that does a morning line harness or a thoroughbred, boy, you've got mad respect from me, because I know that is not an easy job. It's a thankless job. When's the last time you heard somebody, oh man, they got that morning line right on the money? Very, very few and far between.
It's just a really important part, I think, of, especially when it comes to the horse players, and kind of wanted to dive a little bit deeper into it. When you were making those, what did you really look at? Well, you can't really, you have to handicap the race, but you can't really handicap the race because, when I'm handicapping a race, I try to look for value. I mean, when you're looking at the race from a morning line point of view, I think you have to look at it in terms of, okay, well, who do I think the public is going to wager on? And here's another thing. A lot of times when these morning lines are done, they are done before drivers' choices, because, morning lines have to be in but 3, 4, 5 days ahead of time in a lot of situations, to go to print. So, a lot of situations, you're not getting the driver choices. If Tetrick's got 4 to drive in a race and he chooses one, I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on that, wow, Tetrick chose him over 3 other horses. That horse must have a better shot than those other 3 horses. Mm-hmm. But as the morning line maker, a lot of times you're handicapped because you don't have that knowledge or information. There is a formula to do. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but there's a number formula, and it's in relation to the amount of horses in the field. So in other words, and I can't remember what, like a 72-point total for a 9-horse field, and then every odd that you give out, like say for example, if you give a horse 8 to 5, that takes up 30 points. If you make a horse 6 to 1, that takes up 14 points. And then your odd total at the end is supposed to add up to that particular total. Now, that's how I used to do it. That was a while back. But, I think you have to keep that in mind, too, when you're handicapping.
is sometimes how much of a disadvantage the morning line odd maker is, just in terms of lack of information.
Yeah.
I always found that so fascinating.
Is there a race that you would love to call that you haven't got to call, or is there a horse you would like to announce? Like, is there one thing left in your career that you would really want to do?
I guess I would like to call the Little Brown Jug. I think that would be certainly an interesting race to call. I mean, the Hambletonians, always a big one, but you have to remember, when you're going through and a lot of times, when you're calling a not so great race card, you have to keep in mind, you have to remind yourself that, almost every race is somebody's Kentucky Derby. Whether it's a caretaker, whether it's, somebody wagering on it, of course, you have to keep in mind that every race is important to some extent. And, listen, the way I look at it is everybody's race is somebody's derby. So, in those terms, I kind of try not to make another race more important than the other simply because of purse money or quality of horses or so forth. But, and a guilty pleasure, Little Brown Jug that'd be a great race to call.
Yeah, it would.
I love that you recognize, though, like, not everyone's going to have a Hambo horse or a Little Brown Jug. Like you said, this could be their derby. And even if it's a 5-claimer, that's someone's whole world. So I like that you recognize that. It's still exciting for them, no matter what, the purse and stuff.
Yeah, well, listen, most people aren't going to get a Hambletonian horse or, a really, really nice horse. But listen, those 7,500 claimers, those $10,000 claimers, like you mentioned, some of the level 1, level 2 condition races, it means a lot. It means a lot to some of these, horsemen and caretakers who, are with the horse every day, who are getting the horses ready to race each and every week, every 2 weeks or what have you. It's, it's very important to them. And of course, the gambler, hey, I got $10 to win on this horse, just like I had $10 to win on the Kentucky Derby. That's just as important. That $10 wager is just as important to somebody as that $10 wager is in the Kentucky Derby. So, you owe it to the gamblers. I think you owe it to the horsemen and the caretakers and everybody to try to give them as good a call as you possibly can. Now, of course, that's not to say you want to go over the top and try to make every race sound like the Little Brown Jug. You have to do it in reason and so forth. But yeah, it's important to keep in mind that, hey, every race is somebody's derby. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. I do have to say, Mike, like, your voice is probably one of the most unique, I think. It always stood out to me, especially because I came from Thoroughbred. I love, like, you get this boom in your voice. When they go around and they hit that third turn, like, it shifts and you hear the mic. I love it. It just always stood out to me. Like, you just sound different and you don't call the race the same. Like, you don't go back to like usually the same, kind of taglines that some of the other announcers you hear them do and they're, calling. You mix it up quite a bit, and I really like that and enjoy it because, like, you're hearing it, a little bit differently, and you're like, oh, I like the way he called that or said that.
Well, I appreciate that. I think, I like to mix it up because I like to keep myself engaged. I think it's important to, if you fall into and then that goes for any job. I mean, if you fall into the same old routine, you're going to end up hating your job. You have to make your job challenging to you. And that's kind of like why I mix it up. But, it's funny that you mentioned that. I've always viewed announcers as, I don't want to say elevator music, but, I think this is a tough concept for a lot of announcers to grasp, is you're a background, everybody is not at the racetrack clinging on to every word that you say. A lot of times you're a backdrop, people are talking to their friends, they're studying the races, they're doing a variety of different things at a racetrack, maybe betting another racetrack, and I think a lot of times the inflection, the way you say something is more important than what you say. If you're watching a race or whatever, or if you're listening to a race and all of a sudden you hear an inflection of the voice, okay, well then what does that tell you subconsciously? That hey, something's happening. Something big's happening. That may get your attention to watch or pay more attention or whatever. It's a lot of announcers, I think, don't realize that they're a background, but you really are. You're a part of the ambiance, the whole entire ambiance of the racetrack, and that's why I think inflection of the voice a lot of times is just as important as what you say. And I'll tell you what, a lot of times I feel like I can get away with saying a lot up there, but if you say it in a way, or if you include it in your regular rhythm of your if you're announcing, then I don't think a lot of times people will even catch on to what you're actually saying.
It's a great tip for future announcers.
Spring is here, so you know what that means. More live racing at Parks, of course. The PTHA would like to invite you to come out to Parks Racing on Kentucky Derby, Preakness, and Belmont Day for live racing. Bring the whole family to enjoy the races, family fun, and of course, watch the thrilling Triple Crown action happen. First post is at 12:40 p.m., so don't miss out. Head on over to Let's Go Racing Parks for more information.
We have a little bit different of a hot seat today. Mike had some technical issues with his internet, and we're going to put each other in the hot seat because why not? I'd like to throw Dawnelle in the hot seat.
Let's get it.
What was the last concert you attended?
Oh, Kelsey Ballerini. It's been like a year, but I loved her. She came to Pittsburgh at like a small venue, and it was cool. You just had to shove people like a mosh pit to get close, and I was pretty close, so that was a good concert.
Awesome.
What was yours?
It's been a very long time since I've been to a concert. Now, I have gone to some festivals. My husband and I do like EDM, so Sal Skrillex, Arden Van Buren. Yeah, like I'm that person.
That could be your next career. Look at you go.
I know. I really want to be the hula hoop girl. Gosh, if I could just dance with a glow in the dark hula hoop. And
can you hula hoop?
I can hula hoop.
Oh, impressive. I can't.
You can't?
No. I don't know. I just know.
How you can't get it going.
It just drops. I don't know. I don't know what I do wrong. I'm not coordinated. I can't ice skate. I can't roller skate. Can't hula hoop. I can ride a bike and a horse. That's it.
Now I'm going to start practicing. I took it seriously for a little bit. I loved watching the girls dance with hula hoops. They're very, very talented, the hula hoop dancers.
I give them props. I can't do it, so shout out to them.
What's the next question?
What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
The Masked Singer. No one knows I watch it, but I do.
Oh, I used to watch that. I liked it.
It's funny. I like the costumes.
It is good. And they have some good guests sometimes, so you never know who's under that mask.
What about you?
Anything reality TV. I recently really got into Love is Blind. And it's so stupid and it's just mindless, but I love it.
I don't know. I haven't watched Love is Blind yet, but I have had some temptation to because I've heard such good things about it. But maybe I'll do it. Maybe I
started with season 6. Yeah, it just started this season. They came on my podcast that I like, the Vile Files. So then I started watching it and I was like, oh, I've been missing this show my whole life. It's good.
I love podcasts. What podcasts are you can't live without?
Call Her Daddy, the Vile Files, and then those are my top 2 that I listen to religiously. I kind of listen to Disrespectfully. I'm pop culture. I like reality TV and pop culture podcasts. What about you?
I'm kind of the same. I do have some true crime on there. So depending on that, I'll listen to Dateline's episode through their podcast. I like that. I like
God.
true. I know I'm a serial killer. Yeah. So I like true crime and I like Girls Next Level. It's Bridget and Holly from Girls Next Door. I loved that show with Kendra and that. Like, I was obsessed with it. And so I like, especially Bridget. I've always been like a Bridget fan. So I like, because she does haunted stuff and I love haunted stuff. She also has a haunted podcast and I listen to that.
Yeah, they both, Bridget and Holly, came on Call Her Daddy, so I do like them. And I used to be into Girls Next Door, that was a TV show. See, reality. I've always been a reality TV person.
It's the time you grew up in. It was like all that there was. It was like the big pop-up having everything reality TV. There was a reality TV show for everything. So
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, I want to see grown women yelling at each other, flipping tables. Give me a good housewife show. I'm here for it.
I do. I love myself some Jersey.
Would you rather travel to the past or travel to the future?
Past.
What year are you going to?
I'm going to the 70s.
There you go. I want to go to the future.
The future seems scary. So far from what I've seen in the past 3 years, I don't think the future gets better. I want to go back to where the hippies are and we're like making flower crowns and
peace and
hanging out, peace and love. Yeah. And we're all hitting bongos. Yeah. I want some Coca-Cola glasses.
You know what? I did like the fashion. So I would be there for the fashion. They dressed better back in the old days, I feel like 70s, 80s, 90s. Even what year is it? 50s, the poodle skirts. I would get behind that.
I could see you in a poodle skirt.
I would love it.
One of my favorite movies is Dazed and Confused. Like ever since I was in middle school, I loved that movie, Dazed and Confused. I don't know. Just take me back there. I want some boys with long hair and some lamb chop sideburns. I bet racing was amazing. And then,
you know what? That's true. We could go back in time and be the founder of racing.
That would be really going back. We would have to go back to colonial times.
I would love colonial times. I think I would thrive.
I think you wouldn't. You would be hot and there's too many layers of clothes and corsets. And you would have to learn how to like turn butter. And I don't see you doing that.
Oh, no, I'm definitely not into all that. That's a little much for me. A little too hardworking.
There's no microwave back then.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't survive, I guess. Unless I want to be like a queen and have servants do it all. It's my life goal. I always thought one day I would wake up like Princess Diaries and they'd be like, Dawnelle, you are the Princess of Genovia, and we just didn't tell you. And here I am, going to be 30, and no one said that to me yet. So
you are the princess of your own castle, Dawnelle. You're the princess of PHRA.
Oh, thank you. What a great title.
Because you know what I am.
The queen.
The queen. That's right.
I'm going to get us crowns for the show.
Just make sure mine's bigger.
We'll see.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you enjoyed today's show, and make sure you follow us on all of our social media, TikTok, check us out there. And if you ever want to give us any questions or suggest any guests that we have, please shoot them over to our email at whataride@penhorseracing.com, or you can just DM us on any of our platforms at Penn Horse Racing.
And don't forget our nice little t-shirts that are out now that Ashley has on. You can order them. Just email us, DM us. We will get you a shirt. They're pretty fancy. Look how cute those are. I'm obsessed.
They're super comfy and they're great for the summer. Good summer colors. So thank you guys, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening, and thank you to the Standardbred Breeders of Pennsylvania for sponsoring Hot to Trot. We'll see you next time.